these stem leaf diagrams, they have two columns. It's a table. Okay, there are two columns. One is stem, the other one is leaves. Okay, leaves or leaves, that's fine. So if you have a number, it doesn't matter. See, the rightmost digit, it goes to the leaf side, right hand side, this here. Only one digit, last digit, rightmost digit. Rest of them, except rightmost digit, whatever you have to put into this stem column. Okay, let's check this example here. So you have numbers starting from 38, not 38, 36, goes up to 99, goes up to 99. So this is how we deal with this. Since we have numbers less than 100, okay, there are only two digits, right? So first part we can separate it like they are separated like 30, 40, 60, 40, 50, 60, 70, 89, something like that. Okay. So you first, okay, this part, left hand side, it is your stems or stem. This is leaves. Okay. So first 30s, 30 numbers, whatever. Okay. We have how many? I think 3. 38, 30, 30, 36, and 39. All numbers belongs to in this 30, 38, 39, and 36 goes to first row. Okay. So as we discussed, first one, once you go like row wise, this side from left to right, first number it is 38. So all 30 values goes to first row. First is 38. So rightmost digit is the 8. So 8 goes to the leaves part here. 8. Okay. Then 39. 9 goes to the leaves part and 36. For now, it doesn't matter about the order. Okay, just put the numbers. So once you read this, you know there are 3 values, 38, 36, and 39. Okay. Same procedure, you have to expand up to 99. Okay. So first thing you have to identify what are the numbers. Then write this column first. Stem column. All numbers 30, which means 3 something, 4 something, 5 something, something like that. Okay. Then read these numbers, read this data from left to right or whatever you like, and fill the table. Okay, this is how it works. Finally, there is one thing you should do. You have to sort these leaves, whatever numbers in the leaves. You have to sort it into ascending order. Ascending, that's it. Okay, ascending order, which means here for an example, you can see this one. See 7163510. You have to sort this into ascending order, which means 0 comes first, then 1, 2, 3, whatever you have. Okay, like this. See, everything in right hand side in ascending order. If you have repetitions, keep it like that. Okay, but definitely the final version of this step plot is that one, B. Okay, so you have to don't forget to keep them in ascending order. Okay, that is a must. Otherwise, that's gonna be a wrong one. Okay, if you have 3 numbers, 3 digits, same procedure apply here. Last digit, which means rightmost digit, always comes to this part, stem. Rest of them goes to stem. So first you have to identify the distinct those numbers. So we have something from 190 something, 200 something, 210 something, something like that. Then you have to figure it out what are the, this is very similar to the classes, distinct classes, single value grouping, something like that. Okay, single value, this single value grouping. So you have to identify, we have 190 something, then 200, something greater than 210 and 220. Okay, so distinct numbers, stem, and all other rightmost digit into the right hand side, which means stem leaves column. Okay, you may have done this before, right? There is another way to represent this stem plot, which is this is still correct. You can use this. If you want to decompose this further, you can decompose this one, like divide one class into two classes based on their numbers, like 1 to 5, sorry, not 5, 1 to 4 into first part, rest of them, which means 5 to 9 goes to this second part, like that. Okay, you divide one class into two pieces based on their rightmost digit value. Check this one. See, this is a one class, which means this one. Okay, so whatever values, whatever rightmost values less than 5, 0, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have that values, it goes to the first row, and the second row, rest of them after 5, including 5. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whatever, if you have, put it here. Okay, less than 5 and greater than 5, greater than or equal 5. Okay. It's optional. This both ways they are correct. You can keep it like this, but definitely you have to sort them into ascending order. Okay. Right hand side as well as this, right hand side and left hand side both. Okay, so these numbers is starting from the lowest one. See, 19, 20, 21, 22. This 22 means what? 221. 221. Okay. As I mentioned last time, if you have a decimal, it doesn't matter. Same theory applies to that. Let's say 200. Last one. Another number. 232.1. Okay, new number. So you have to add it like this. Always rightmost digit, which means this guy goes to the leaf side. So 1 here, rest of them, which means 2, 3, 2. You don't have to mention the dot post here, dot here. No. Okay. If that number is something like this, 232.01, like 2 digits, 2 decimals, then you will be having a what? Not just 0, 23.0, and 1 is the leaf side. Here. Okay, so don't change the procedure. Okay, it remains same. Okay, clear? Any questions? Because I'm not going to explain this too much. It will confuse you. That's why I'm trying to do it like on the surface. Okay. Okay, check this one. Let's try to do this one. My handwriting on this tablet gonna be a little bit crazy, so please just forget about that. Okay. Okay. Stem or stems. I think this much leaves. Okay, I have to figure it out. What are the numbers do I have in this data? First minimum and the highest one. Highest one I can see 106 here. Minimum 90, 80, 70. I think 70. Okay, so I can see values starting from goes up to 106. So 70 means just 2 digits. So first digit is 7. Then next part, next group is 8. Next one 9. I have 100 something, which means 10, right? So go through these values. I have 78. 8 goes here. I'm using this horizontal lines because I don't need to mess everything. Okay. So 87, 87, 91, 85, 97, 102, 73, 90, 102, 10, 102, 105, 94, 85, 81, 95, 77, 106, 84, 183, 92, 79, 81, 96, 96, rightmost digit, 88, 100, which means 0, 85, 89, 87, 83, 90. Okay. Now what? Sort these numbers into ascending order. Okay, I'm not going to do that because it started right here. You have to sort it. Okay, this is not the final answer. You have to sort whatever you have in leaf side. Either using that 2 classes, decompose 1 class into 2 classes, or just keep it like this and keep it write everything to ascending order. That's totally fine. So once you need to write a number, read a number, let's say this one, which means 79. Okay, it is not 7 and 9, it is 79. Now, distribution shapes. Up to this moment, we have discussed distributions, frequency distributions. Okay, frequency distribution and how we represent frequency distribution, like a table, like a graph, okay, or like another sort of another kind of table like stem plot, or graphs like dot plots, histograms, bar chart. Now we are going to see the shape of those distribution shapes. They have different shapes. Distribution of a data set is going to be, as I mentioned, table, graph, or formula. It can be a formula. Later you will see a formula of a normal distribution, something like a giant one. Okay. So we can keep a mathematical equation, or like not the equation, mathematical formula to represent this kind of distribution. First point is we discussed frequency or relative frequencies, dot plots, histograms, whatever stem plot, diagrams, pie charts, bar charts. Okay. So shape of those distributions, it's like sometimes it is important. I haven't shown you the shapes using stem plot, but still we can identify the shape of that distribution using stem plot. Okay. Later I'll show you how to identify that, because you will be having questions to identify what is the shape of this distribution. I have given a stem plot, correct stem plot, and question is something like identify the shape of this distribution. Okay, so you can simply, you don't have to do anything, just look at the stem plot and try to identify the shapes. I'll show you after few slides. Okay, shape of the distribution is important. Yes, because sometimes we can expect some behaviors based on its shape. There are those properties. Let's say this is going to be a rectangular shape. So rectangular shapes, distributions like rectangular shapes, they have separate like specific features or specific properties. So we can simply use those common properties to our analysis or our work, something like that. Okay. Most of the time, yes, we have to approximate the shape. We cannot say, okay, this is the exact shape, but we can approximate. Okay. This is how we approximate. First, this is a histogram, not a bar chart. This is a histogram. Using the top value in each bar, simply you can combine each values. Like if you have bars like this, simply you can consider these maximum values of each bar. Okay, then simply connect them. See, we have something here, just connect it. Like connecting those points, we can identify the shape, but it is like going down, going up, like that. We always try to use smooth curves. Smooth curve means there are no laps between points. It's like going smoothly. Okay. A smooth curve defined on continuous values, because values are continuous. All values we can represent. We can write down whatever inside here. So once we use smooth curves, always we cannot use the maximum points. So since we have to do it like this, so actually maximum point is these three. Okay, once you draw it like this, it's gonna be like this, something like that. It's not smooth. So if you need to smooth it, you can do like this. So sometimes you may miss the maximum point, right? Like in this case here, see, it's not the maximum. This smooth curve goes like this and goes down like this. It doesn't matter. That's why I told you we approximate. We try to approximate. But once you see this without the curve, okay, without the smooth curve, you should be able to see it's like increasing up to some point and then decreasing. Okay, the shape is like this. We call that shape bell shape. It's a very common shape in this course or statistics. It's a bell shape. It's like a bell. Okay, so this is the shape of this distribution, bell shape. Bell shape is the shape of this distribution. Okay. Based on the modality, we can identify different type of shapes based on the modality, which means based on the number of peaks. Okay, peak mean this much here, like bump, like this. Okay, peak. In our course, we are discussing about one peaks. Always we have only one peak. Whatever we have the distribution, we have only one peak. It's going to be like this perfect, we call normal perfect bell shape, something like that. Like in part this A, unimodal. So we are discussing unimodals only, which means it has that distribution or the shape of that distribution. It has only a one peak. Then we have bimodals, which have two peaks. If it is go more than two, we call it multimodal. Okay, based on the peak. Then we have shapes based on their symmetric behavior. Like if you imagine mirror images, cut the first one on here. You will see left hand side part and the right hand side part, they are like mirror images. So it is symmetric. Same here, same goes to here. Once you right, cut this one about this axis from the middle, you will see they are like mirror images. And this as well. Left, since this is a rectangular shape, it doesn't matter, they are equal. Okay. So based on their symmetric behaviors, we define their shapes. Like first one, as I mentioned, it has a shape like this. We call it bell shape. This shape is a rectangular shape because it's like a rectangle. This is we call, sorry, not rectangle, triangular, because it's like a triangular. We call it triangular. It's a triangle, so we call it triangular shape. This one, it is like a rectangle. Then we call it rectangular shape. Or this is specific one. This is based on uniform distribution because this rectangular shapes we call uniform shape as well. So if you remember, we when we were doing simple random number sampling, that is stuff I told you, you can simply Google it, right? You can simply Google random numbers. So those random numbers generate using this kind of distribution, uniform distribution. Anyway, using those two properties, we can identify shapes. But consider unimodal, which means we have one peak. There are two types of unimodals, not two, three types actually. There is no the middle one. Middle one is this shape, which is symmetric about this axis. Okay, we call it perfect bell shape or simply bell shape. It is symmetric. If it is symmetric, we call it perfect bell shape, right? In the third one, let's say C. Okay, but what happens if this peak shift into one side? Let's say first it shift to left hand side, like A. That peak shift to left hand side, so that we call it right skewed. This skewness based on the side of its tail, not the peak. So this piece we call peak, and this part right here we call tail, because it's like a tail. Okay, so always skewness or this right or left is skewed based on this side of its tail. Side, what you can see in your paper or in your screen. In this, I can see side of the tail is right hand side. So this distribution, distribution is right skewed because it's tail. Side of the tail is right hand side. Same apply here. This is the peak, and this is the tail. So tail side is your left hand side, so we call it left skewed. Okay, always we define the skewness based on the side of the tail, not the peak. Okay, see, in this case it's not, we cannot find a tail. That's why we call it symmetry, or it's perfect bell shape. It's distributed like a perfect bell. Okay. Clear? Most of the time you will see this kind of behaviors: skewed, right skewed or left skewed, or perfect bell shape. Okay, this is what we have. This is our histogram, frequency distribution or relative frequency, that's fine. Using this, as I mentioned, you can simply draw a smooth curve. If you draw that smooth curve, you will see, let's try. something like this. Okay, no need to be a perfect smooth curve. Just try to approximate it. Once you draw that, let's say something like this. So this one, it is a unimodal because it has one peak. It's not symmetric, right? You can see it is its peak shift to one side. So what is this? Right skew. Why right? Because tail in this picture, tail, the side of the tail is right hand side. So we call it right skew. Okay. So this is what I told you. If you have a problem like this, here I have given you the histogram, correct one histogram. Then I'm telling you find the distribution of that. You have a few answers like right skew, left skew, symmetric, or rectangular shape, whatever. So how do you find? Simply imagine the smooth curve like that. Okay, simply imagine it goes like this and going down. You can see right hand side, it has more weight. It goes like this. So definitely it's going to be a skewed one, right? Skewed one. So which is skewed? What side? It is the left hand side because peak first goes up, then it's going down. Gradually it's going down. So you can call this right skew. You don't have to do any calculations or whatever. Just imagine what's going on here. Okay, just imaginary smooth curve on top of the histogram. Then you can find the shape. There is no. Let's check this one using a. Okay, let's check this one. Let me erase whatever I have written here. Check this one because I told you I'll explain this. Explain the distribution, how to find the distribution using stem plot. Definitely you should have the. You should have no this one. This one. This one. Let's consider A. Now you can see it is already sorted into ascending order. Okay, you need the final version of this stem plot. Now do the same thing. No need to worry about the frequency. Just draw your imaginary smooth curve like this. It is hard, but try to understand what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here. Okay, just try to draw your imaginary smooth curve. So you can see peak. It's somewhere here because it has more numbers than others. So definitely peak is there, which means in class 21 peak is here. Then you can see using this shape, it's hard to identify whether this is skewed one or symmetric one. So this you can do. Check whatever you have in the right hand side of this peak and left hand side of this peak. So you can see right hand side of this peak, I mean this side, okay, down only one class, but on top of this peak, which means upside, there are two classes. Okay, clear? Which means if I rotate this one, shape is like this, right? You have two classes. Third one is the peak, the highest one, and the 20 something is this one. So you can see this is like what? Skewed one. Tail is in right left hand side, so this is going to be a left skew. Okay, this is the way how you identify distribution using stem plot. It's not in the materials, but you will need that. Okay, so you don't have to do any work, like no calculations are needed. Just draw the shape. it will take just a fraction of seconds to identify what is the shape of this. Okay. So how many classes? Let's say if you shift this, if you rotate this, so this is your peak. How many classes to the left? To the left, 2 classes. To the right, 1 class. So 1, there are 2. It's like this. Okay. Questions? Okay, let's see what is. Yes. Now, population and sample. Distribution stuff we have now finished. This part, actually this part should not include to this place, but yes, since it is here, let's talk about this population and sample data. If we have a data based on population, we call it population data. If our data based on the sample, we call it sample data. Okay, that's it. Based on which source, we name it based on that. Data based on population, we call it population data. Okay. So value of a variable, values for the entire population we call population data. Values for the sample we call sample data. Okay. Most of the time we do not mix these data types. If we are dealing with sample, just stick with that sample data. Otherwise, stick with the population data. Don't mix them. Based on that data, we will be having their distributions. If we are dealing with population data, then we have population distribution. Population distribution, or we call it distribution of the variable. Most of the time, I use population distribution. If we are dealing with population data, the distribution of that data we call population distribution. If we are dealing with sample data, the distribution of that data we call sample distribution. Okay, so this is how we define sample distribution and population distribution. Those 2 names, please try to remember them because you will need those names later. If I tell you, okay, we are dealing with sample distribution or find sample distribution, you should know what is the meaning of the sample distribution. Sample distribution, distribution based on sample data. Okay, which means you are dealing with samples. Okay, this is the difference between population data and sample data. Using a one population, we can define or we can extract many groups or many or many samples as much as we want. Okay, here we have taken 6 samples based on the population. So once you consider the population, that's you can see in the blue color top one. It is the shape, that shape based on the population. So first graph, which is A, is the population distribution. Distribution, they haven't shown it here, but you can simply draw your virtual smooth curve. It's gonna be a skewed one, slightly skewed. Okay. So the other 6 histograms in red color or below red color, those are based on samples. Okay, first sample you can see in the first histogram. Second sample, second one, like that. No need to worry about the samples, but they are 6 different samples. Based on those samples, you can see the shapes or distributions of their shapes. So they are all of them little bit similar to the first one. First one means actual distribution of that data. Why actual? Because we are that one based on the population. If we are dealing with the population, that is the actual thing, right? So sample means something we have taken from that and do our analysis. Okay, but once you check those 6 sample distributions, you can see they are like similar, not perfect, but similar. Especially first one and the first one, 1, 2, third one, 5th one, and 6th one. Oh, no. all of them except, no, it's hard to say. Sometime except two, second sample, but check the shape. Those are like right skewed, right? First one, second one, they are like right skewed. See, so we don't need to analyze our population. Simply, we can analyze this one of these samples and conclude or give a conclusion about the population, like inferential statistics. Okay, so that's actually what we are doing here. We don't need to draw the first graph, which is part A, based on the population. We don't need to work with the population distributions. Instead, we use sample distributions. Okay, so they are very similar to each other. Their properties, like, it doesn't change. Okay. Any questions? This is the end of chapter 2. I need to open up chapter 3. In this chapter 3, we are talking about descriptive measures. Altogether, you will be having like 6 or 7 descriptive measures. They are different. There are 2 types of descriptive measures. So why we use these descriptive measures? Because we need to identify how this data set distributed. Okay, that's why we use this kind of measures. Descriptive measures. First, chapter 3.1, we have discussed the measure of center or measure of central tendency. We are going to identify what is the center of this data set, of that particular data set. Okay, so we call it measure of central tendency or measure of center. There are 3 types of measurements that we are taking under this measure of central tendency. Those are, you already know those 3. Those are mean, median, and mode. Okay, mean is simply we call average. The frequency divided by total, it is the mean. Median is the middle value in your data set. And the mode means the most frequent value in your data set. Okay, those are the 3 measurements that we are talking under this, talking about this 3.1 section under central tendency, measure of central tendency. So first, mean, you already know this, what is the idea behind the mean? Mean simply or average. Sum of the observations divided by number of all observations. Okay, so we call it mean. If you, let's say, check this one, I'm going to do the example 1. In this, the exam scores of 4 subjects of our students are 88, 75, 95, and 100. Those are the 4 scores. So how do we find the mean? Mean equals to mean or average. Mean equals to summation of all those 4 values. Okay, 88 plus 75 plus 95 and 100. Those are the frequencies. Divide by its total. Its total mean not the summation of these numbers. It goes to here. Total mean total number of observations. How many observations are there? 4. So divide by 4. Okay, so you will get a number like less than 100, greater than 88, number something like that. Okay, that's how we find the mean. This mean we call the balance point of the data set. It's like balance point. Like if you need to balance this pen, that balance point somewhere, not the middle, because this is like, this pen is like not equal distributed one. So balance point somewhere here. So this kind of balance point we call this mean. That's what it does. Okay, balance your data set. Second example, very similar. You have 5 weights. So these are the okay, they have, you need to find the fifth one. They have given the total weight, still you have to apply the same formula. Mean equals to summation of the frequencies, summation of the frequencies divided by total number of possibilities or total number of occurrences that you have. So for computer stations, they have given this one up to this point, this one. What is the weight of the fifth computer station? So mean weight they have given. Mean they have given, right? 167.2. This is the mean. Mean equals what? Summation of individual frequencies, right? So you have frequencies 158 point something plus the last one 178.2 plus the last one that you don't know, that's you need to find, right? The fifth one, let's say it is y, unknown variable, you don't know what's the value, that's you need to find. Divide by, what's the number? Divide by 5, because this number based on 5 computers, so 5. Solve this, you can find the value of 5, right? Simply what? Multiply both sides so that you need this piece. Multiply both sides by 5 and subtract these numbers. That's it. Clear? Clear?